This episode of Under the Apron is sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard yet, Anchor by Spotify is the easiest way to make a podcast with all the tools you need, all in one place. Just type in anchor.fm on your browser and start creating that podcast that you've been talking about starting all year long. Take advantage of Anchor's creation tools. You can record, edit, add music, or any type of audio you like right from your phone or computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast on many different listening platforms, such as Spotify, Apple, Google, or even Stitcher. And that's just to name a few. It's everything you need to make a podcast. And want to know what's the best part about it? Absolutely, totally free. Join us and download the Anchor app on your phone or go to anchor.fm on your browser to get started right away. Link will be in the show notes.
Movies and feelings. Pop, pop. Bring Your Own Popcorn is a podcast that dives into people and the movies who love them. Let us preach to your choir or stoke your ire as we spiral down memory lane with cult classics, Jurassics, and other genres that rhyme with traffic. What we lack in education, we make up for with comedy, compassion, and camaraderie. I'm your host, Mixtape Majesty, inviting you to join me and an assortment of wonderful guests on fine podcast apps everywhere. Bring your own popcorn.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Dawn.
And if you've ever watched a TV show and thought to yourself, oh my god, that season finale plot twist was absolutely bonkers.
Or seen a movie and thought, wow, I need to talk to somebody about this train wreck immediately.
Then we think you'll fit right in with our podcast, I Hate It, Let's Watch It. We watch TV shows like Riverdale and Emily in Paris.
And movies like Deep Water, Killer Sofa, Rubber, and Deadly Illusions. And we give them the total rinsing they deserve.
It's basically group therapy for movie masochists. So come check us out wherever you stream podcasts.
Welcome back to the show, you beautiful podcasting and streaming geeks. I am your host. If you are new to the podcast or the brand spanking new thing I'm trying out this month, the chat, this is the show that other streamers have asked me the question of, what does Apron have to do with the ring? If you know, then you know. If not, I guess you're going to have to look that up and Google it. And while you're there searching on Google, you might as well search for this podcast because I'm streaming to you live from Under the Apron. Exactly. If you know, you know. That's right. I am live. I am doing this for the second time. I want to build a Geek Squad community on the live. This is Backdrops and Backlots, the show where I watch TV or movies starring wrestlers and review them on the podcast. For those that are new here, what I do is usually talk about wrestling or other wrestling-related medium, such as movies, TV shows, video games, or, if I want to get healthy, my diabetes. At times, I will throw in a thing or two about non-wrestling related topics like the challenge, if you guys watch it. If not, that's cool too. Marvel, DC, Netflix, and chill. You know, all that stuff. But I always get back to the wrestling. If you see me looking away from the screen, it means I'm looking at my computer screen because it has the notes. I always have something planned. And I have to read something off of there. But eventually I will read the chat like I am right now. Betty Spaghetti, I love spaghetti. Betty Spaghetti, welcome to the live, to the chat, to the podcast. You guys can ask. I will try to answer some questions. I will try to the best of my knowledge. And if you want to chat about wrestling, the guest spot is always open, and I would love to have you on my podcast, and we can talk, and we can chat, and we can record. It's all up to you guys. Also, if you have something to add that is wrestling related to the show, please feel free to use the guest button and I will bring you in. Do you ever not have something planned? The first 10 episodes last year, I didn't plan it. I didn't have anything planned. And then I was told, yeah. And then I was told, well, I was told it's like podcasts eventually die after 10 episodes because nobody's interested in listening to you and all that stuff. So I'm like, all right, bet, we'll see. All right, let's go. Let's do this. So I started, I shot my shot, I went for it, and yeah, I did. I proved them wrong. It's what I do. My hip has arthritis. They said I needed surgery. I proved them wrong. I almost died. Went in a coma. Got diabetes. They said, lower that shit or you're just gonna die. Proved them wrong. My fucking sugar is at 5.6. I love proving people wrong. I do. Too sweet. Last year I started a podcast. Here I am. Yeah, and thank goodness you're still here to tell the tale. Like, because I talk about it on the show. I talk about it to whoever is listening. Dude, I talk about it on the blog. I've been here since 2011. These past few years, I've just been putting out blah, 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 blog post, blog post, blog post. I have diabetes. I did this. I did that. Everybody's supporting me. Everybody's telling me what to do. All right, do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. I did that. I did all this. I worked out, worked my ass off, and here I am. And finally, I can say, finally, the geek has come back. All right, so with that in mind, smash the favorite button, press on those hearts, press them down, and enjoy this beautiful podcast. Tonight, I'm talking about the 8th episode of Young Rock. I love this show. If you haven't seen it, y'all should check it out because I usually talk about it all the time. Usually talk about it with my co-host. We take a deep dive into the episodes, tell you the Easter eggs, the stuff that you may have missed, or any other historical references they make during the episodes that has to do with wrestling or non-wrestling related. For more information on the show, go ahead and listen to the past podcast episodes. So before I start the episode, I want to give a huge shout out to these awesome and amazing supporters. They don't know I'm doing this and they don't know why I'm doing this. I have my own reasons. They came to the live this past week and just showed some love. So I'm showing some love back and putting their names on wax. They're putting them on the podcast, on this one right here. But, before I even start saying that, to the people that are here already, let me give them a shout out. Brenda Lamore 1, Hyde Range Water, and Dean Bean. Too sweet. Alright, so shout out to the following people: Miniature Dancer 51, The Fair Bear Show, Babbling Brook, The Illest Creation, All Good Man, Goody Girl, Chan Slave, Degorian 64, and A, it's Danny. Shout out to those amazing people, especially A, it's Danny. That man is fucking awesome. Thank you for doing all that. That is amazing. He fucking just killed me today, earlier. For real. Alright. We got that out of the way. Synopsis of this episode. Going heavy. Miami, 1998. Dwayne hits new heights as The Rock, but encounters some challenges on the road to SummerSlam. In 2033, though, Dwayne finds the Prime Minister has a political crisis of her very own. Guys, before I start, let's get something to drink. Before I start, I'm not gonna fucking sit here and not drink. I got something to drink right here. If you guys don't know, it's Zoa. I love Zoa. Zoa. I always drink Zoa. If you heard the show, if you listen to the show, we always drink our Zoa. This one's super berry. Um, I always have a can ready, and I always read the back of the can usually. So, my fellow everyday warriors, Zoa is about healthy, positive energy that helps us all focus, be productive, and get stronger together. Mana, gratitude, Zoa, Dwayne Johnson. So, cheers to everybody. Cheers to everybody in the chat. Cheers to everyone who just showed up. Amen. Keep holding those heart buttons down and too sweet me. Put those two sweet signs in the air. Okay, so for those that don't watch the show regularly, former pro wrestler Dwayne Johnson was running for president in 2032 during season 1 and season 2. Actor Randall Parks from the MCU, Ant-Man, and all them shows, movies, and Jim from The Office. That's who he was, right? He was Jim? Yeah, he was Jim from The Office. Yeah. He is now a talk show host and wanted to document Dwayne's road to the White House. Along the way, in each episode, Dwayne tells stories of his past where they range from 1983, when he was a 7-year-old and was called Dewey, 1986, young teen Dwayne, and 1996, to when he was starting out as a wrestler. At the end of season 2, he lost the presidential election to the now President Taft. And in the beginning of season 3, he takes a year hiatus to focus on his family. So during the start of season 3, he's called by President Taft to help him in America by being an ambassador and going to the country of Belgium to make a coffee trade deal. After much convincing and awesome stories from Dwayne, he accepts, goes to Belgium where he meets the Prime Minister, who's also a massive wrestling fan as well as a fan of The Rock, and they share stories of his past. I usually watch these episodes 2 or 3 times before I do a show on it, is because I like to check who the actors portraying the wrestlers are and if there are any historical fact or significance on the Easter egg. We open up in the country of Belgium in the near future of 2033 inside the Prime Minister's mansion. Dwayne Johnson is walking up to the living room when he sees Randall Park sitting on the couch, not having gone to bed since the last episode. He says he doesn't want to miss anything else or other stories. Randall is usually listening or being a moderator for Dwayne stories. Dwayne tells Randall he missed a lot the night before, as well as more than just becoming fast friends, because she agreed to hear him out on the coffee trade deal. Prime Minister comes into the room to tell Dwayne their coffee talk will have to wait because she seems to have a crisis of her very own. The next scene is of Dwayne, Randall, the Prime Minister, and her assistant watching news footage of people protesting. Prime Minister explains they had a public vote to rename the tallest mountain in Belgium, which was called Cannibal's Peak, due to the gruesome tragedy that involved the nation's soccer team after a team building hike went awry. She explains they took submissions from the citizens for a few names and put them to a vote. And now the vote is over and the people are angry with her for not ratifying their choice for a new name, which is Billy, will you go to the dance with me? It's Maria Mountain. It kind of sounds like a Fall Out Boy song, right? Am I wrong? The Prime Minister says it was submitted by an 11-year-old and it won the vote via landslide. She then says she is supposed to look out for her people and sometimes make the calls that are sometimes too tough for them to make. She's basically asking Dwayne for some advice. So Dwayne says he too struggled with his relationship with the public, especially earlier on in his wrestling career when The Rock became a household name. Buckle in, everybody, and get your popcorn ready because we're about to hear story time with The Rock. Dwayne starts narrating the story of trying to be himself while his persona was skyrocketing and they showed footage of The Rock with the rest of the Nation of Domination stable that he was a part of, giving them all gifts. He gives Kama and Mustafa and D'Lo Brown the Nolex, which was the no-name brand Rolex. And then the leader of the Nation of Domination, Farouk, once again played by Marcus Lewis, is waiting for his gift. The Rock gives him a bigger present, and that is an autograph frame of himself as the WWE Intercontinental Champion. Funny story. Years later, after this, there's a funny episode of Table for Three on the WWE Network on Peacock, where wrestlers sit down with their best friends or enemies, nemesi, and reminisce about old times. In one episode, Khan Mustafa sitting down with Mark Henry and the leader of the nation, of course, Farouk. They don't show him. They don't show Mark Henry in this. They don't show Mark Henry in this episode, but he was there at the time. They're all sitting at the table, eating their dinner, because that's what they do on episodes of Table for Three. They get spoiled with dinner, and it's usually at a fancy restaurant, and WWE covers it, and they start talking, they start putting in content. So during their dinner, the waiter comes over and hands Kama, Mark Henry, and Farouk a gift. Kama and Mark Henry, they both get a little small box. Farouk gets this long box. So Mark opens his gift and it's a diamond Rolex. Kama opens his gift and it's a diamond Rolex also. And then Farouk knows what he's getting. He already knows how big this thing is. So he opens up his gift anyway, and it's a picture of Dwayne Johnson smiling, and he starts laughing. This man. They all read the note that he sends them, and he's all like, much love and respect, DJ. Of course. For more on that video, I'll have the video of it in the show notes. After the segment, they go backstage and it's the Attitude Era roster. A lot of Easter eggs here. The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin are talking. Young long hair. Triple H walks across the screen. The Undertaker, played here by Zechariah T. Smith, never heard of him, appears and says his catchphrase, "Rest in peace." Triple H, played by Miles Burris, and his catchphrase, "I've got 2 words for you, suck it." And followed by the crotch chop. And then, like, I wasn't expecting this at all, but it made me pop and smile. I just spoke about it too. I should have just not said anything until later. Um, China was in this episode. Here she's Stephanie Zajikowski? Stephanie Zajikowski. I said it right this time. That's great. And she did an incredible job. She was amazing. She looked awesome. Just not like her, but at the same time, her essence, her vibe, what she was really about. Um, Here her catchphrase was, "You ain't got the balls to beat me." I've never heard of her saying that like that. But okay. I guess it was backstage or something. Stone Cold Steve Austin, played by a shorter version of him once again. They're using the same cast from season 2. Here is Luke Hawx, his catchphrase, and that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so. Jeez, why did I sound so British like that? And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so. And finally, we have Chad Frost, the legendary Chad Frost, played by Elton E. Williams, who says 4 simple words. "Hi, I'm Chad Frost." Smiles at the camera and just stares at it. Poses. Okay. The show pauses. Randall asked, "Who the hell is Chad Frost?" I even asked. I was like, "Wait a minute, what? Who the hell? Does anybody know who Chad Frost is?" I don't even remember Chad Frost. Does anybody remember Chad Frost? Dwayne says at the time, Chad Frost and Stone Cold were the two biggest names in the WWF. Exactly. Nobody knows who Chad Frost is. The Prime Minister and Randall are both confused because they don't remember a Chad Frost from that era, and neither do I. I found out on Twitter who Chad Frost was, and it was during my second viewing that I realized, oh shit, it's really him. The hints were all there. I just didn't realize that. So until later. Okay, so the next scene is Dwayne driving to the next town. He decides to call his family. His mom tells him not to make it all about business, but do enjoy some time with his friends, coworkers, wrestle buddies. Dwayne tells them they're so competitive, he has to separate himself from the pack. Rocky, Dwayne's dad, reminds him. Rocky, Dwayne's dad, reminds him that the locker room could be a viper's nest if he's not careful. Dwayne says this is a different era. These guys are great. They're my best friends, all that stuff. A little foreshadowing for what's to come later on in the episode, so to speak. Dwayne's wife tells him to do his thing and not worry about the other guys. He got this. All the meanwhile, a driver behind Dwayne is honking his horn, so Dwayne stops at the stop sign, and the other guy pulls up beside him to tell him that he has a nice car. Dwayne smiles, says thanks. The guy's all like, yeah, you should learn how to drive it. And then flips him off and drives off. What the hell? Dwayne laughs, and this gives him an idea of what his character can do next.
The monster blood changed direction, still bouncing and quivering and leaving white stains on the grass like enormous round footsteps.
Joe, stop reading it. This is too scary for me.
You're right, it is too scary.
If only we could talk about Goosebumps in a way that isn't scary.
Well, guess what, nerds? There might be a podcast like that called Geesebumps.
Geesebumps?
Did you mean Goosebumps?
Maybe. Geesebumps is a comedy podcast based on the works of R.L. Stine. Hosted by me, Danielle, PhD.
And me, JoJo, PhD.
And me, Jeff, regular person.
Featuring goofs, funny voices, and the occasional critical thought.
Geesebumps!
Available on Podbean and everywhere else podcasts can be found.
Hey guys, this is Ernie. We're going to get to the next segment in a few, but let me tell you about Dark Fate Creations, okay? Dark Fate Creations would like to invite you to a new and unique experience in candles and wax melts. They hand pour and create every single product using quality, clean, and safe ingredients. Their candles are filled with romantic wooden wicks and made with a coconut soy blend of waxes for a safer, cleaner, and longer burn. The designs are unique and beautiful, but more importantly, they smell absolutely amazing. And the variety of fragrances have something for everyone. Hand poured in Grass Valley, California. Check them out at darkfatecreations.com. Link of the site in the show notes below. Back from commercial break, and Dwayne is narrating again, saying that one good aspect of the Attitude Era was that the WWF was hiring writers to help with storylines. One of those writers was Brian, played by Clark Duke. You may have seen him on Hot Tub Time Machine 1 and 2, Sex Drive, the movie, Kick-Ass 1 and 2. Two great movies. Couple of great movies. Here he's talking to China, trying to convince her to get involved in a new storyline. Telling her, what if you break up with Triple H? She tells him no thanks. Their love is a bond that cannot be shaken. You hear that? Their love is a bond that cannot be shaken. He continues to convince her, but again, she stands firmly at the no part. Their bond cannot be shaken. Unless your name is Stephanie. Then, that is a shaken bond. Yeah, so that was a messy relationship. You know, that kind of stung. But their bond cannot be shaken. So yeah, can't wait for the haters to talk bad about that one. You heard that? No, are you talking about yourself? Brian gets up and tries to go to the other wrestlers, but they want none of that. They don't want to hear him. They don't want any of his mm, opinions. So he finally meets up with The Rock, who accepts him and runs an idea on him. Brian says they want to continue to run the storyline with him and Triple H, who shows up in this small meeting. They run through what needs to be said in their promos. Dwayne tells them that this guy complimented him and then hit him with an insult. Triple H says he'll go at him and Dwayne can hit him with a comeback after that and then walks away to go get ready. Dwayne asks Brian what is one thing he can reel him in with and then destroy him with. Brian offers up the idea that does anybody ever notices the way Triple H talks? I immediately knew the promo they were about to do, but unfortunately they didn't do it justice on the show. It felt bland. It felt, It didn't have that, It didn't have that pop. It didn't have that, But it's the one promo where The Rock imitates the way Triple H talks. Kind of like this, where he says he's gonna kick your ass, and then he's gonna win, Yeah, I should check it out on YouTube. Unfortunately, the promo they referenced here in 1998 was actually done in the year 2000, back in the McMahon-Helmsley era. Triple H had just married Stephanie. So it's kind of ironic that before this scene played out, China was in the scene. Wow. So the show is pretty much doing some time jump on promos and stuff that were supposed to happen at that exact moment, to say the least. Alright, let me say hello to a few people. Typhon Lure, Tempos, Nebulous Flower, Leap Year Ones. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for all the hearts. Too sweet. If you're not already, follow those amazing 3 creators up there, streamers. A is Danny, High Range Water, and Good Girl. Awesome ass supporters. Also, follow me on the blog. Follow me on here. Smash that favorite button. And listen to the podcast from Under the Apron. Check me out there. Support me there. You don't have to support me here if you don't want to, but go listen to the podcast. Go learn something about wrestling or two, Listen to something new besides what you're already listening to. It's all good. Dog loved the Flash sweater. High Range Water with the hype. My dude, my dog. Too sweet, me girl. Too sweet. Right there. Right there. You're the best. After the promo, Dwayne goes backstage in Gorilla during the production where Pat Patterson tells Dwayne he was a minute over on that promo and reminds him that he has to stay on time. They were very lenient about the time back in the day, so they still are, but at the time, they weren't afraid to fire people. They're just like, you have this amount of time, or else we're gonna get rid of you. Triple H walks up and tells him he was only looking out for himself, telling Dwayne that he has a big head. Emphasis on that part that he has a big head. It's going to be used later on. Nobody's going to want to work with him if he continues to do this. Next scene is Dwayne having lunch with Farouk. also known as Ron Simmons. Legendary Ron Simmons, although they're no longer a part of the same team, or in this case, the same stable. They still remain good friends. Rock goes to Ron Simmons for anything, for any type of advice. So here it's implied that Farouk, also known, he's the veteran. So Dwayne comes up to him to have a friendly chat with him. And Simmons advises him the more he rises to the top, someone else will fall. The more he pushes for greatness, the more he's going to have to watch his back. The next scene is Vince McMahon, played by comedian Adam Ray, coming to the locker room with Chad Frost, legendary Chad Frost, behind him with crutches. Vince announces that Chad has injured his knee. He puts an emphasis on the knee part. He says, Chad has injured his knee. He has a brace on his left leg. He's limping. He has crutches on. I kind of had a theory that it might have been who it might have been before it was revealed, but it's just like, who is it? Who is it? I don't know who it is. It has to be someone that was freaking great back then, and yeah. So one of those theories ended up being Ahmed Johnson. That I said was like, I remember he left and then came back because he had an injury. It might have been him. He went away for 6 months and then came back. Vince says it's a blow to the roster, so the rest of the company needs to step it up while he's recovering. Again, emphasis on the step it up. All the hints were there. I'm telling you, they were there, and I didn't freaking see them. I didn't even know this until later. I was just like, who is Chad Frost? Everyone says their goodbyes. Chad, Dwayne, and Chad. Chad tells Dwayne to keep killing it, bro. Just the way he said that, I was just like, what? Again, it is a reminder to us that in 1998, Chad Frost and Stone Cold were the company's two biggest stars. 1998, Chad Frost, Stone Cold Steve Austin, two big stars, out for 6 months. Also, emphasis on some things, on some words. Also, there's a time jump in all these promos and segments that they do, so it could be somebody from the past as well. I still had no idea who it was. I was flabbergasted, so to speak. Back from commercial break, 2033 Dwayne is narrating the scene of The Rock doing his own rendition of Cleveland Rocks and changes it to Cleveland Sucks. That's another time jump. This segment was actually done when The Rock was bald and he just came back from Hollywood, and he was doing the whole thing with his black vest. It was Hollywood Rock. He was the one where he would just like slap his leg and be like, "Easy, big fella, easy, easy," and then like do the belt buckle thing. It wasn't at 1998, but they do time jumps there, so it's like just in case they don't come back for another season. Hey, this is what happened here too. He goes through the montage of him doing his catchphrases because everyone has one of them, has one or two of them, but he thought to himself, why limit yourself? Why not have 3 or 4 or 5? Why do you have to have just one? So we go through a whole montage of all his catchphrases, from Rudy Poo Candy Ass to, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing. It doesn't matter how you're doing. My favorite one. Finally, The Rock has come back. Anyway, know your role and shut your mouth. What's that? Oh, dancing crab. Awesome. Thank you for the dancing crab. That's freaking hilarious. I'm kidding. Know your role, shut your mouth, shine that bitch sideways, and stick it up your candy ass. The millions and millions and millions of The Rock's fans, and finally, If you smell what The Rock is cooking. He goes to the back. He continues to get yelled at for going over on time. Vince tells The Rock that he is thinking about putting him against Triple H at SummerSlam in a ladder match before the main event. Stone Cold had that spot last year in 1997. Well, Vince tells him that Stone Cold had that spot last year in 1997. This year, he's headlining SummerSlam. So we have to go back to that one because he did have that spot last year, but it wasn't a banger match. This whole thing that Stone Cold had that last spot last year has nothing to do with him being the main event this year. Last year, Stone Cold faced Owen Hart. 1997, Stone Cold Steve Austin faced Owen Hart. It didn't end well. Owen did this inverted pile driver move, which temporarily paralyzed Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it kind of broke his neck. And he had to have surgery, and he was out for a few months. Uh, so it had nothing to do with him being in the semi-main event in 1998 SummerSlam at all, because he was already a top face. He was already doing other stuff. He came back, he killed it, but that match sucked. I don't care what anybody says. That match sucked because of that moment right there. And that's my take. Vince tells The Rock he can't be going heavy anymore, especially since he's been hearing things. It's implied that someone got into Vince's ear and told him things about The Rock. Dwayne immediately thinks, gets in his head, who could it be? Vince says, well, they told me you have a big head. Ding, ding, ding. Triple H. Triple H says that because Triple H the last one that said it to him. Moments later, Dwayne arrives at the bar that the wrestlers usually hang out. Taker, Austin, and Tripp talking about their lives. Dwayne arrives and wants to have a talk with Triple H. Dwayne accuses Tripp of getting... Dwayne accuses Tripp of telling to Daddy Vince about things. Kind of funny that he calls him Daddy Vince. And then Triple H and Vince, and then he becomes his father-in-law. Says Daddy. Triple H denies it and tells him he needs to go get his story straight. Next scene, Dwayne's mad. Freaking pissed off. Dwayne. Mad Dwayne. Brian, the writer, is concerned. Dwayne tells Brian about the conversation he had with Triple H. He went behind his back and told Vince he had a big head. Brian says that it wasn't Triple H because he was there too. He tells him that due to his size, the wrestler don't realize he's in the same room. The scene flashes to Vince McMahon in his office, listening to this person right in front of him, telling him that The Rock isn't ready. He thinks he's better than everybody, and the boys don't trust him. He has a big head. The camera pans to the reveal who it was that told Vince all this. It was Chad Frost. Dun dun dun. Telling Vince he doesn't think The Rock can handle it. Vince says he appreciates being told this. It matters to him what his best guy thinks. Another hint, another emphasis, his best guy. And then, here's another hint. Chad Frost holding a bag of M&Ms with half the bag covered and only shows two letters, M and S. You think it has nothing to do with it. You think I'm reaching. I may be reaching. I don't care. But I took it as a sign. Oh, nobody saw that. I did. Same as one other person did. But nobody saw the big freaking Universal Championship belt hanging in the Prime Minister's office, and we all assumed like The Rock is going to go to WrestleMania to face Roman Reigns and win that belt. We're reaching, I guess. Okay. The show pauses again. Prime Minister says that she gets it now. Chad Frost wasn't a real wrestler. It was a pseudonym. Her wrestling blogs are going to be blowing up about Chad Frost's true identity. 1998, Dwayne tells Brian that Chad Frost smiled at him, looked him in the eye, shook his hand, and still said that about him? No way. Next scene is Dwayne telling his dad what happened. Rocky says the best thing to do is trust his instincts and run with Triple H, and he will trust him again. Dwayne takes this advice, and we get to some real SummerSlam footage of the logo, the crowd, the event, 1998 SummerSlam. Coming up is The Rock versus Triple H ladder match, and they have 20 minutes to tear that up.
What's new, listeners? I'm Audra Howell, the host of 2 Cents Critic. Here on the program, we give reviews and recaps for books, movies, and TV shows, with a whole bunch of special guests who join in on the banter and breakdowns. Maybe you want to hear about a contemporary romance novel, like The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. Or maybe you want to hear about an MCU show, like She-Hulk. Or how about the best movie of 2022? Or at least that's my opinion. Everything ever on at once. You can hear all of these discussions and more on 2 Cents Critic.
Hi everyone, this is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening!
I'm not going to sit here and describe the whole match, but they showed at least the last 10 minutes of the match on this episode. Towards the end, Triple H drop kicks the top of the ladder to the head of The Rock. The top of the ladder's head on The Rock's head. It's the top of the ladder. The one where you step to the top, very top, whatever. Which forces him to bleed. He's bleeding. He has color on his face. Triple H is surprised, shocked. He looks at Rock's face and asks him what his angle is here. Rock then says, it's not about him, it's about both of them. Let's get over with the fans. Triple H realizes what that meant and goes along with it. They continue the match. The ref tells The Rock that he was just told by Vince, it's time to go home, wrap it up, get the match over with. The Rock ignores it. He then asks Triple H if he trusts him. Triple H says yes. Let's just get it over with. Let's do this. So they go 5 extra minutes on that match. The match is supposed to be 20 minutes long. It ended up being 25 minutes and something odd seconds. At one point in the match, The Rock is almost at the top of the ladder. China gets in the ring, hits Rock with a low blow. Falls down. Triple H gets on the ladder, grabs the belt, the Intercontinental Championship belt, and wins the match. The Rock is still laid out in the middle of the ring. Triple H is holding the belt on his shoulder. He looks down at The Rock, and The Rock tells him, milk the exit, let me lay here for a bit. I want to enjoy this. Triple H looks down at him and says, yeah, sure, Spielberg, whatever you say. So he leaves, milks the exit. Rock just lays there looking up at the ceiling at the lights, blood on his face. And then he realized that the fans are now chanting his name. At the same time, feeling bad for him. He's bleeding. and the chants are chanting, Rocky, 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 Rocky. I was one of those fans. I really was. He loves this and says that this is the moment he will never forget. He gets backstage and gets yelled at for going heavy again. Hey, this time by Pat Patterson. Uh, just when I say 20 minutes, we mean 20 minutes. Vince tells Dwayne that that was awesome. He's not mad, but he proved to Vince he could be the WWF's next big star. We go back to 2033 setting, the Prime Minister's mansion. Outside in the patio, Dwayne says that the fans were ready to turn the Rock babyface, and that would be the next phase into his epic career. Everyone's going to have an opinion on how he should operate, but the only thing that matters is that you stay true to yourself, even if it means ruffling some feathers. That is the key to his success. He trusted his gut, and it always paid off for him. You hear that? Same goes for everybody else here. The Prime Minister says that she can't let them name that mountain. She's trusting her gut. She excuses herself to go and draft a speech statement. The show ends. Alright, so let's go back to the Chad Frost thing. I for sure thought it was Ahmed Johnson, because why not? But somebody on Twitter had posted a GIF after I asked the question, who the hell is Chad Frost? And they came back with a GIF of the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. And I completely lost it. So, upon second viewing, Chad Frost has a tribal tattoo on his left arm. Shawn Michaels has a heart tattoo on his arm. Chad Frost has long hair, beautiful hair. He's posing for the camera during his intro. He's doing all kinds of sexy poses. Sexy poses. Who sexy poses? Who does sexy poses? Shawn Michaels does sexy poses. He posed for Playgirl back in the 90s. Brace. Chad Frost has a brace on his leg. Who does stuff with his leg? Shawn Michaels usually uses that leg. Hey, what's he doing? Super kick party, baby! This guy's wearing a denim jacket. Of course, I don't know what freaking Shawn Michaels wears. And the M&M's covered up with just the S and the M showing those are Shawn Michaels' initials. Again, you could say SM or HBK. It doesn't really matter. It was Shawn Michaels all along. I really like this episode. I hope they do more with matches like they did with here. They usually don't, but this one lasted about 10 minutes, five extra minutes. Possibly one of my favorite episodes of the show so far. And if you watched the episode, what did you think of it? Let me know. Before I go, I just spoke with a creator yesterday. She's also a podcaster. Y'all should check out her podcast. It's called Honestly Truly. She's not in the chat, or else I would have just told her, hey, get up there, speak your mind, all that stuff. But we spoke earlier and got to know each other. So much love for her. For the audio, I will have her podcast in the show notes for everyone to click and listen to her on Spotify. Also, thank you for the following people for the awesome stream just a few nights ago. I really needed a good laugh, and being on the stream felt good. They don't know I'm doing this. Only one person knows I'm doing this, and I already talked to him about it. Hope he said it was okay that I mentioned him. Hope everybody else is okay with it too. But everybody on that stream that was there, fucking making me laugh, having a good time, having a vibe, enjoying it. I was just scrolling, saw them, got into live, talked to some people, told them I was proud of them. They're proud of me too. We're doing this. So, here they are. Awesome people. A is Danny, Celestial Moon Goddess, Puffy Tacos, The Fair Bear Show, Brenda Lamore, who's still here. She's hanging out with us. Babbling Brook. Again, Babbling Brook. Artsy Black Kid, or Artsy BLK Kid. Honolulu Boy, K. Seisman, 88, Kyle, for those who don't know, Queen Unholy Kush, Bayleaf 1606, Ms. Legs, and Jolene XX. Y'all, they're freaking awesome ass people. Y'all should just follow them. Alright. Okay, so thank you for the support. Thank you for supporting that. And, hanging out, listening and watching the show live. You can find us on all other sort of social or audio streaming platforms at our link tree at linktree.com/from under the apron. It has a link to our blog, our Twitter, Instagram, YouTube socials, plus our Good Pod, Spotify, and iTunes accounts, where you can listen to us as well as leave us a comment or a 5-star review, which helps us be discovered by other fans of wrestling and podcasts, as well as the 20 other music and podcast streaming services. Check out the show notes for links to other podcasts that you heard on this episode. Send us a message of your favorite wrestling stories, questions, comments, ratings, or requests by email. It is from undertheapron@gmail.com. And I will do my best to get to them and answer accordingly. Thank you for listening, joining the live, staying the gifts, and being a huge part of this geek community, wrestling community, whatever this is. This is a community. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are the best. Tell your friends. Join us next time for more stories, movies and TV show reviews, as well as wrestling related stories, where we come to you from under the apron. Too sweet me, baby.